Okay, we've got that going.
Yeah, we're live now.
All right. Zoom recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to Ali and Makara's Books, part of the Broadcast Map Network, the show where the hosts discuss the books they've been reading throughout the week. Here are your hosts, Ali Musa and Makara Slobodian.
Good afternoon, everyone, on Monday, November 24th, 2025. Well, here we are for a bonus show this week. Ali and I are here. You're listening to Ali and Makara's Books, soon to be the Ali and Makara Show, as of next week, if you missed that little announcement. And Ali, of course, I'm thrilled to have you here, as always, to host alongside you.
Me too. You know what? It's always a pleasure to do these, and I think more than a pleasure if there's a word than that.
Yeah, well, of course, we could always make one up. You know, we make up words around here.
Oh, absolutely. We have to think of something.
And today we are very happy to be joined by one of the hosts of Double Tap, Stephen Scott. Stephen, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, it's lovely to be here with you both. Makara, first time meeting you, and Ali, of course, we've met many times before, but lovely to be here.
Yeah, we have reconnected after a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? But yeah, plenty to talk about.
Yeah, and I think we'd just like to jump in, and in place of talking about books or anything today, I just
because you picked the worst possible guest to talk about books.
Well, I do appreciate the heads up that you gave before we started recording that you weren't much of a book person, because I
need to read my emails better. That's the truth of this. I need to read my emails.
Yeah.
Well, I will briefly throw my co-host under the bus here and say that I was given information to the contrary before you arrived.
Oh, you're gonna throw me. Oh,
wow.
Not under the bus.
No, I know I'm bugging you.
You know, no, of course.
I'm causing trouble here now. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that I don't like books.
No.
I do. It's just my problem is, honest to God, my issue is that if I sit down with a book, 5 minutes in, I'm gone. I'm sleeping. My wife is the reader. She should be here because she would tell you all about the books. Most of them are about
who should be here?
Killers. My wife.
Oh, yeah.
She is the book person around here. She has pretty much taken over my Audible account. She's got honestly, I am spending I don't know how much money on Audible credits for her, so she can get the next installation of next collection of books about murder and serial killers. That's all she reads.
Yeah.
Prisons,
wow.
serial killers. Oh, she loves it. I don't get it. It makes me slightly nervous at night, but we're working through it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know what I was thinking? Why don't we just get right into the Apple side of things? Well, see, the main purpose we've got, I wanted to get you here to talk about the Apple updates. So, yeah,
of course, yeah.
Let's dive in then.
Yeah. So, like, sorry, Makara, go ahead.
No, I was just saying let's dive in then.
All right, sounds good. No, thank you so much.
Of course.
Your initial sort of thing now, after playing a little bit here with, I know you're you're an iPhone guy, right?
I am. Yes.
And a Mac. Are you a Mac guy still?
Well, I'll be honest. It's been a difficult ride.
Okay, so we'll talk about that as well.
Quest 26 is partly the reason why I'm a little bit more leaning towards Windows these days. But
yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah. So let's start with the iPhone here. Like with what they've done with VoiceOver currently. Does it? There have been some underlying sort of issues with it that have been present for so many years.
Yeah.
That they haven't done that. That they haven't done anything to address it. Now, what are your sort of thoughts on that? Do you feel like, for example, Notification Center is very flaky when you try to navigate it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, honestly, there's a lot of issues underlying here, and it's across all the operating systems. But if we're focusing in on iOS...
No, we can branch into Mac, too.
Well, I mean, we'll start with iOS, because I think that's the one that's probably the most common for most of us out here who are blind using Apple devices. It's going to likely be the iPhone that you're using out of all the devices.
Yes, I agree.
Use others, but you're going to be using that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the problem is that for so long there have been bugs, in particular focus-related issues. So, you're navigating around the screen, perhaps you're exploring by touch, you go onto a new page or you go onto a new tab of an app, and you touch on the middle of the screen, and then whatever starts reading just moves away or jumps to somewhere else. I had this issue for quite a while with WhatsApp. You would find your way to, say, a message or perhaps the text insert field, and then all of a sudden it would jump, it would bounce to somewhere else on the screen. And that seems to happen quite a lot in a lot of different apps. Now, of course, a lot of that is driven by the app development itself. This isn't necessarily always to do with Apple. This is to do sometimes with the way that the implementations of accessibility are put into individual apps. So it's often up to the app developer to fix it. And in the WhatsApp case, it was fixed by them. But I think there is an underlying issue here. There's an underlying issue where, for whatever reason, the phone just loses focus. Now, this has been going on for a long time. This isn't new. But you would like to think they would be getting closer to solving it, because it's actually very irritating. And it's why I tend to use split tap as a feature of navigation. So what I mean by that is I'm swiping with one finger, or I'm exploring by touch with one finger. And then as I find the element I want to press, I'm tapping with the other finger. I'm still holding on to that particular part of the screen. I'm still touching that part of the screen, but I'm using my other finger to tap on the screen. And then that lets me activate exactly what I want. And that's irritating that I have to do that, but it's become part of my way of using the phone, so that I know that when I actually tap on this and performing that double tap gesture, it's actually doing what I want it to do.
Yeah, that's an interesting sort of way to kind of get around that. But when we come to Notification Center, right, which we mentioned a second ago there, that seems to be where the problem there is that it seems to be that it does the same jumping around. You try to navigate it, it skips things.
That's right. Yeah, and that's another issue. I mean, there's even some apps, like the Meta AI app, has almost Android-like navigation in it. So as you're swiping, instead of the screen refreshing itself when you move through a list, it's actually moving the entire list up like it does on Android. The list is actually moving on the screen. And that creates a slightly awkward situation where you think you're moving through a list. And on Android, as you move through a list, the list actually moves on screen. It rolls or scrolls, if you like. But on an iPhone, what happens is it jumps. The screen moves up so that the list continues on. So it's like a page layout. So you move from page 1 to page 2, essentially. And that's another example of new implementations being brought in, but is VoiceOver able to manage it? Is it able to deal with it? And what happens if something goes wrong? Is inevitably it does. So there are definitely issues here when it comes to focus that are plaguing the system. There are other issues. I mean, there's been a lot of bugs along the way, and I tend not to get into them too much in particular, specific ones, because oftentimes these are things that are fixed very quickly. I always say to people, whenever a new operating system comes out, especially for the iPhone, if you rely on your phone, if you like your phone the way it works for you, don't update early. Turn off all the automatic updates. Give it a month, because there's going to be issues and problems that will be resolved. And then there'll be an update that comes along, and say it's 26.1 or 26.2 or whatever it is, that will come along and will fix a lot of these issues. And what I say to people is, if you can, go to appleviz.com and spend some time there reading through the bugs. There's always going to be bugs. You can't squash all of them. But what you're trying to find is that nirvana where, and all nirvana really is is just a place where, there's the least amount of bugs kicking around. And I think we're kind of there. I mean, the focus issues aside, and yes, they are real, and yes, they are problematic, but I don't know how they will ever stop. Because, let's be honest about it. They're building a new operating system, essentially, or updates to an operating system every single year. My recommendation would be, can we just maybe get one every 5 years? Do we need to get a new operating system every single year? Do we need to? Because, how much pressure does that put on the companies to keep up the developers, for VoiceOver accessibility teams? And of course, that's just one accessibility tool of many. How long does it take? How much work does it take for these very small teams within these huge companies to deal with all of the new influx of features and settings and layouts? It must be a nightmare. So, my dream would be for them actually to cut back on the amount of updates. I mean, they're saying that next year, they're calling it the snow leopard year, which is basically meaning there's not going to be many updates, if any, at all. I think that snow leopard year, they famously stood up on stage and said, is it going to be 200 features? Is it going to be 50 new features? No, it's going to be 0 new features. This year, it's just about, fixing the problems, solving the issues. And I think they could do with a couple of years of that. I hope that's what they do next year. And I hope that gives the accessibility teams a chance to catch up.
But here's the problem. But see, if you go back a few years, I think it was iOS, I think it was 10 or something. They actually did improve Notification Center, that focus thing. And as you were reading them, it didn't lock on you automatically. And it didn't keep, and when you got a new one, it didn't keep, putting you back to the beginning. But it seems now, all these years later, these same issues have returned.
Now, are you talking about the notification center as in the phone? It's when you go into the phone, you swipe down from the right side to get.
Yes, and on the lock screen.
And because the lock screen one is a nightmare. No denial at all. I mean, there's only one benefit to it. There's only one thing I've found it to be useful for.
Okay.
And for people who aren't aware, and who haven't experienced this, essentially when you get a notification coming in, it'll start reading it and then it just cuts off because the screen just locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a way of stopping that.
I don't think so either. I haven't seen a way.
The only value I've found in it is that when you're wearing the Meta Ray-Bans and you're talking to someone and you get a notification through your glasses, start reading it. If because we all get those emails, right, that seem to just read on forever.
Yes.
Maybe it's a newsletter. Or
yes.
Some deal from a company.
Oh, yeah.
It says, and it just starts reading you. Oh, God, we're here all day listening to this. And you're sort of going into your pocket
I'm
to try
okay
and,
with that,
switch your phone off. It'll just cut it off. And I think, well, that's not actually so bad.
Yeah.
It gives me a flavor of the message and then it just moves on. But you're right. It's not an ideal setup. It should be something we can control.
So, but I don't think those. See, here's the thing. It wasn't so bad. I mean, kind of to kind of your point a little bit there, Makara, that it wasn't as bad in 18.7, that lock screen piece.
It still kind of is. I can vouch for that because I didn't realize that was the piece you were talking about. I always thought you meant just like going into the notification center.
I'm sorry about the confusion.
That's what I thought you meant as well. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's completely fine. And
no, I think you should be sorry about that.
Right? How dare you cause such confusion?
You're just using it as an opportunity to get them back now, aren't you?
Well, I'm just jumping off of what we're working with here.
I know.
I can't help it. But I will say there is legitimate issues there as well with scrolling through, and it does skip things.
But I don't think it locks as quickly, though.
No, you are right about that. But the lock screen thing is irritating and does still happen a fair bit, even in 18.7 and what have you.
Yeah, it does.
And that is an interesting point, Stephen, that you brought up about the accessibility teams and trying to keep up with all this, because really, how do they keep up with everything? You can't focus on every single feature when there's still so much being rolled out.
Yeah, I mean, I follow accessibility, Applevis, I should say, and the Apple accessibility email address that's always given out, right? Accessibility@apple.com. People say constantly write to that, tell people what's going on. And having the chance to speak to a number of people inside Apple over the years, they say, look, we absolutely get these messages. We get all of them. And what they do is they process those emails in terms of priority. They just create a priority list and just start working through bug after bug after bug. Now, of course, it's important for us to tell these companies what's going on. We can sit here and we can moan about it all day and night. But if we're not telling the company about it, if we're not telling Apple with the problem and they don't know the problem, and I've spoken to many app developers over the years who've said they've learned about a bug in their software only because they were having to scroll through Facebook or scroll through X or whatever it was. And someone said, oh, hang on, this doesn't work. This is terrible for blind people. And they go, I had no idea. I had no idea it was an issue. And
Yeah, that's the thing, too.
Contacted them. It's on us, right? We've got to tell them about it. But again, we also have to be mindful of the workload. And, I often say, we don't know exactly how many people are in that accessibility team, but I think it's fair to say that a number of people working in there is a lot less than the one team that's working on Apple Intelligence right now.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That team's
Yeah.
gonna be huge. Accessibility is going to be a number of people working their backsides off to try and get this working for people. And, it's just, I think we have to just have a little bit of patience on that and try and work through it. And that's why I say to people, look, simple way of avoiding the problem is don't update early. When is it right to update? I'd say probably now, but you're right. This notification bug issue is for real, and it can be a bit of a pain. But again, you can learn to live with it, right? You can learn to live with it by getting the phone unlocked. That's the first thing. Make sure Face ID recognizes you. You hear that unlock sound, and at that point, you can read through those messages. It's when the phone is locked and you're on the notification screen, that's when it will cut out when it's reading to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna then I want to move to the Mac a bit, and I want to hear your perspective there. But okay, so you're suggesting unlock the device, right?
Yeah, so just hit the power button.
Yeah, unlock
Have
it.
your phone in front of you, and make sure it's unlocked. So you hear that click, so you know that it's unlocked, or you feel it, whatever way you choose to get that.
Yeah. So go to the home screen,
Yeah.
and then
No, not even go to the home screen. Just on that notification screen, it shouldn't cut off at that point. The issue is the phone is locked, so it's turning itself off. And so if the phone is unlocked on the main screen, on the notification screen, before you actually get into the phone,
yeah.
at that point you can read through your notifications.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But essentially, even then, if you don't go quick enough, it will still lock on you.
Yeah, it will lock after a while, yeah, but it's a little bit longer than it currently is. Like, it gives you a chance to actually hear a message. Like, I can read through my messages without it necessarily cutting me off. Some of it is also just being quick enough to move on to the next notification. I mean, bear in mind, notifications aren't to be spent a lot of time on, right? They're just
No, I get
through
it.
and say, I got an email from this person, an email from that person. So you can quickly get through it before it cuts you off entirely. It's if you leave it to read a long message, and I know we've done that in the past, but that's not really what you're meant to do with it anyway, right? I mean, I don't know. It's an individual thing.
I'm going to clarify a little further here, though. What my idea is, right, for it to be on the lock screen, right, and then quickly be able to just quickly activate it and then unlock and be taken into the message so I can easily work with it, respond to it, or react to it, whatever I want.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the dream, right? And don't get me started on some of the mess they've made of iOS 26 in terms of getting it to do what you want. Like today, for example, I wanted to return a call to someone.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they've done with the call app, right? I don't know what they've done here. But I go in now to the phone app, I guess.
Yes.
There's a FaceTime app as well, but there's a call app I seem to end up in. And it has in there, so let's say, for example, my colleague Sean Priest, my good friend and co-host Sean Priest, I want to call him. Now, he is in my recent calls. I've WhatsApp called him.
Yeah.
So it says, Sean Priest, WhatsApp call. And I double tap on it. And my expectation is that it's going to WhatsApp call him because that's what I want it to do. And instead, what it does is it takes me to his contact card.
Yeah,
All
so
the
there's a
options
way
are
you
there,
can
and
fix
I
that.
can call, I can message. Can you please tell me?
Yeah, okay, there's a way you can change it. Now, personally, now I'm a carrot to the contrary here. Okay?
Yes.
I like that feature. I like
I
it.
hate it. I hate
No,
it.
yeah. You know why? Okay, and you know why I like it?
Tell me.
Because that way, because in the past, what's happened is that as soon as you activate, it would accidentally buzz somebody. And I like it because it gives me that extra chance to it gives me that chance to go, oh, okay, do I actually want to do it? It gives me a second.
Just call them. Listen, you know what? Any stranger you haven't spoken to yet is just a friend you haven't made yet. That's all it is. So, if you call someone, you call them and then you have a nice chat, you spend an hour, what's the harm?
No, I get it. Yeah, so so in the phone, if you go to settings, right?
Okay.
In the phone, and you go to apps, and then you go to phone.
Mm-hmm.
There's an option in there called something to the effect of, quote, automatically call the number back when viewing from recents, and the default is off.
Got you. Okay. I am changing that tonight.
You have to let me know how this goes.
Oh, it drives me mad because I'm like, and then I was stuck on like someone's face for the best part of 5 minutes. You just kept saying face or image or something. I was like, why am I on someone's face? I just want to call you. I don't want to know what you look like. I mean, I'm sure you're a beautiful person, but I don't care. I just want to call you. I want to speak to you. I don't want to talk to a face.
And I guess if you're wanting to do that quickly, it's not the most helpful thing. Like if you were in a rush.
No, I get that. Yeah. No,
You go in and right. So you go in right, and it says call. So you go, oh well, I'll call because that's what I want to do. I want to call this person back. Well, how would you like to call them? Oh, I'd like to FaceTime them. Now, do you want FaceTime audio or do you want FaceTime video? I'd like FaceTime audio. Now, which number would you like? Because there's a phone number, there's an email address. Oh, just call them, please. Just call. I'm dying here. My life will be over by the time I make this call.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? Do you know what I think it is for me?
What's that?
I think I'm just used to kind of going about it this way.
Yeah. You're liking it. That's cool. And that's the joy of choice. That's the joy of choice. I'm just glad you can turn it
on and off.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. But, yeah. So, Stephen, here's the Mac side. Your thoughts on the Mac side?
Terrible.
Oh.
Next question.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
All right.
I had a
Let
feeling.
me tell you this situation. I love the Mac. I've used a Mac since I was at school, so a long time ago.
Stephen, you're reminding me of that. Sorry, you're reminding me of that commercial.
Which one?
Do you remember that commercial? Oh man. Do you remember that commercial you did? Quote. Oh, I don't find the Mac experience very enjoyable. Quote.
Oh yes, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my last experience where I hated it. Because look, here's the thing. Like I said, I've used the Mac now since 1995, I think, 95, 94. And, in those days, children, Macs were even worse than they are today. It was hopeless. You couldn't even, if you wanted to send a file from one computer to the other, forget it. It wasn't going to happen. It was just a horrible experience. But, I was forced to use it at school because that's all we had. And it was, accessibility wasn't there really. That's just days before VoiceOver. It was a different world back then. There was a product called Outspoken, which was a screen reader, which was a third-party screen reader to the Mac. Can you imagine that today? But, it kind of worked to an extent. But it was the precursor to what became VoiceOver. And, I got into the Mac, and because I used it so much, I was comfortable with it. And I, to be fair, used it more visually because I had better vision then. So I was using a lot of the zoom features and magnification features in it, more so than the screen reader. So as years went on, I used PCs for work and I used my Mac at home. and I was quite happy with that. But and that's been pretty much the way it's gone. But of course, the more I've leaned into work and the more I've been doing different things in creative spaces, especially, the Mac is really good, because when it comes to doing my show, our entire program is recorded via a Mac, because we use specific Mac software in order to record the show, and it's really good and it works fairly well. However, VoiceOver on the Mac, as I started using about let's say 8 years ago now, has been a real mixed bag. Now, I went from really loving it, like really getting into it, really getting into using VoiceOver on the Mac, really liking it, learning about all the little quirks, and I don't mind those issues. I mean, I know there's a lot of quirks and issues when it comes to using a Mac, as is the case with any computer with a screen reader, to be honest. But you get used to certain quirks. I got used to the way it operated. I was starting to get my way around it. And then they started changing things. There was a feature in there for a long time called window spots, which was in there for a while, and it was really useful. And then they kind of got rid of it all of a sudden. It just disappeared. Couldn't find it anywhere. Couldn't find anything like it. It was so much easier to navigate around the system. Couldn't find it. And then it just came back all of a sudden. And thankfully, came back even better. It was much more functional. It got me around more of the screen, and I really liked it. So that was a plus point. But then in iOS 26, what seems to have or macOS 26, I should say, what's happened is everything has just gotten terrible. Like, you go into Safari, and, I don't know about you, but when I go on the web, I actually like to browse the web, not sit with an endless string of Safari not responding, Safari not responding, Safari not responding, Safari still not responding, Safari not responding. And it goes on and on and on and on. And then it finally does load a page, and good luck finding any content in it, because you're stuck inside a toolbar, or you're stuck inside the header, and you can't get to the actual content. Now, the old way of doing it was you would uninteract from everything that was on the screen, and then you would use VO end to take you to the last item, which was usually the web content, and then you would interact and go from there. Now, they fixed that last year. They actually solved that issue, so you could literally just do VO Command H, and it would take you to the first heading on the page, and you could skip over all those buttons. But now, you're stuck, no matter what you do, you're stuck inside that Safari toolbar. Finders become more challenging. They took away a switch window command, which you can bring back, but it doesn't seem to work very well. What that does is that allowed you to be in Finder, for example, so the equivalent to File Explorer on the PC. You could have multiple windows open, multiple Finder windows open. And a classic example of having multiple windows open would be because you want to copy files from one folder to another without having to constantly jump in and out of the layout. You could just have, say, a downloads folder open here, and you could have your Dropbox folder over here, and you'd copy and you would paste, and you would use switch window to move from one window to the next. It was seamless because you were staying within the Finder window structure.
But VOF2F2 still works.
It doesn't work. Well, yes. Okay, no, you're talking about window. You're talking about window chooser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that still works. But what I had was a very simple way with a command, which it depended on your keyboard, right? Because you could use VO, and it was whatever was left of Z, right of the shift. If you had one of those keys in there, whatever that was your switch window command. Now, you can reassign that command in VoiceOver settings. You can go into commands, and you can actually say switch window. You can assign a command gesture or whatever you want to that. But it doesn't work. Or if it does work, it hangs. It kind of sits there, hangs, and thinks about it. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. It's not perfect at all. And so there's these little things that have happened that has actually made it harder to navigate the system in the way I used to. And it's not the only issues I've had, and there are other reasons. I mean, I have to say, when it comes to text editing, I think that being on a PC, I feel just a bit more... I often describe it as if I was driving. The only example I can give here is driving a car. I feel like I'm on a firm road on a sunny day, when I'm driving, when I'm using a PC. On a Mac, it feels like I'm skating all over the place on ice. I'm like Bambi on ice, all over the place. So that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, see, I didn't even know about that switch, the switch window, but I don't know. I think, and see, this is one of the other reasons that I always find myself, and I do use my phone and my iPad a lot too. But I find that I always seem to gravitate toward the Mac a lot because of because you can because it has a better way of like you can manage and copy, and as you said, the copy and pasting things, you can copy from one window to another. That piece makes it a little bit easier.
Well, it used to.
Yeah.
Used to be easier. And look, it's a small thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a small thing. And would I buy a new computer because of it? No. But, I am in the fortunate position. I've got a PC, I've got a Mac. So I'm able to jump between the two. And what I'm looking at is where do I gravitate towards when I need to get stuff done? And the answer is the PC. If I want to get my emails done, if I want to get calendar invites sent out, if I want to check a document or use ChatGPT, or perhaps I'm wanting to get something transcribed, I'm moving towards the PC because there are tools on there I'm using. So I'm using JAWS mostly, but I also use NVDA for certain add-ons. But I use JAWS with Lisi, which I don't know if you guys know Lisi, but it's the add-on software, which gives you an awful lot of extra scripts and, for transcribing audio or for quick navigation of apps. It's just an absolute joy. So, I'm using multiple systems and I'm using them to do different tasks. But my truth is I'm getting to the stage where I just want to pick one. I don't really want to have to go between two machines to get one job done. And that's how it kind of feels I have to do things just now. And so, that's why I'm kind of a notice, not so much intentionally, but I'm just like, do you know what? I'll just go to the PC to do this. Or can I do this on the PC? And even recently, and I'm talking about this on the show, I think today or tomorrow, that, I'm even editing video now on the PC, which I never thought I'd ever see myself doing. But I'm finding it more accessible, easier to do. I'm able to turn things around quicker on the PC. And I never thought in a month of Sundays that would happen. But the interesting thing is, I speak to a lot of blind people, totally blind people especially, who will, generally Mac, if they've tried Mac or they've gone to Mac for a while, but they've gone straight back to the PC because they feel getting stuff done and getting that intricate detail in things like text, they can do better on a PC than on the Mac. Again, it's very individual. It depends where you come from. I came from Mac, so I kind of expected to be, if you were saying to me today, right, where are we in 2025? I would like to have said, I'm all in on Mac. But I think the reality is with Windows, because you've got a choice of 3 screen readers available to you, if one doesn't work, the other one might. Narrator is a great tool. I mean, a lot of people don't use Narrator, but they do tend to find it's good when it comes to things like the control panel or the settings of a PC. The Narrator can get into places that maybe NVDA or JAWS can't. If you're not fully up on all the different review cursors that you can get on all these different screen readers, there are ways to
JAWS
easily
is the JAWS
navigate and
cursor.
scan. Yeah, but if you don't know a lot about that, and I didn't at the beginning, I'm like, I don't know how any of this works or what's the right one, what's the right cursor? I don't know. So to get away from all that, you can just easily go to scan mode on Narrator or scan mode on NVDA and get to the same place just the same. On a Mac, you've got one option, which is VoiceOver. I mean, it doesn't work. You've got nothing. I mean, the only one tool I would say, if anybody has a Mac and they really want to enjoy using the Mac even more, download VOCR. I don't know if you guys have talked about it, but it's a fantastic little add-on, which basically it's VoiceOver OCR, right? It basically allows you to take an inaccessible window. So if you've ever been in a window, and I'm sure Makara and Ali, you've both been there, where you get the dreaded bonk.
Yes!
Bonk,
Yep.
bonk, bonk.
Yeah.
You've basically just been bounced
Absolutely.
off one end of the window to the other. This software can actually scan the screen and can help you move around that screen. So a good example of this was an app called Parallels, which lets you install Windows onto your Mac, right? So if you want to install Windows using Parallels, you're going to have real issue with that because that Parallels setup screen is not accessible at all. But with VOCR, it's able to scan the screen and then you can move between the items on the screen using VOCR. You can use its commands to navigate around, find the next button, read the text on the screen, and move on to the next window. And you've got to do it each time. Every time you go to a new screen, you've got to VOCR it, but it takes a second. And then you can just scan the screen and then you can arrow up and down and find the buttons to move along. And that has allowed me to be able to use inaccessible applications on my Mac. It's free to download, and it's well worth checking out. A guy called Chai Kim created it. He's on Mastodon. Just if you'll use it, go and say thank you to him, because he's done an amazing job.
But see, here's
wow.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ali.
No,
please.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying that seems really interesting. I'd never heard of that.
I hadn't either. It does. I mean, yeah. But here's the thing, right? Like, I mean, see, for me, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I thought you said something.
No, not at all.
Okay. No, I wanted to listen, so.
No, and I appreciate that. And we always, that's the thing here, but I didn't say anything at all.
No, yeah, no, I think I just wanted to listen, that's all. Yeah, so, when it comes to the whole thing, right, of the JAWS versus VoiceOver, or Windows versus Mac. For me personally, I actually originally came from Windows. My first, I used Windows for I think from 2005 to about 2013 when I got the first Mac, and then I did actually for a couple of years, and McCara, you would remember this, switched to Windows for a little bit.
I do recall you saying that.
But now, where I'm also coming to it from as well. Yes, I love the Mac. And yes, I will continue to use the Mac for things. But something is leading me toward giving, like, what if I'm in a situation, where something is leading me toward, that having it around as a backup. And no, I don't want the broiler to shut down, but anyway, go ahead. Stephen, your thoughts?
Look, I mean, I think it's difficult because we always end up in the middle of this argument of, okay, which is best, Mac or PC? And I get this question all the time on the show. I'm thinking of buying a new computer. What should I do? I think the truth is, if you're comfortable with your operating system, it's nice to try something new. But I think if you're comfortable with what you know, then, get a better version of that. Don't necessarily jump into something brand new. The Mac is a great machine. It's a great operating system. I think you need a lot of patience and a lot of time and an expectation of a lot of frustration if you're going to launch into it on day one as a brand new VoiceOver user. It's not impossible to learn. It's a bit more tricky. I would say if you have any dexterity issues in your hands, then, there's a lot of keys you have to pull down at the same time to get things to do what you need them to do. It can be a bit tricky. Although you can use the modifier keys. I mean, the traditional modifier keys are Control and Option on the Mac, but you can use Caps Lock. So, you don't have to. Very much like you can do with NVDA or JAWS or Narrator, you can use the Caps Lock key. You don't have to use the standard ones. But you do need to think about, as well, the learning curve. Because a lot of people I've noticed have gone to the Mac because they've had an iPhone and thought, oh, well, I like the iPhone. I'll love the Mac. But the reality is that they're very different beasts. VoiceOver on the Mac is totally different. I even saw a debate the other day with someone saying, when we talk about VoiceOver accessibility, we need to be clear what we're talking about. Because VoiceOver on the Mac accessibility is not VoiceOver on the iPhone accessibility. No. It's a great point. It's a really good point. And it's so true, actually, because they're very different experiences. You might get an app that's wonderfully accessible on an iPhone, and then there's a version of it that's on the Mac that perhaps isn't accessible. And so when someone says VoiceOver accessible, you have to think what that means. Now, you mentioned iPad earlier, Ali. I only recently got into the iPad. I bought an iPad Pro for reasons which, very long and boring reasons, but essentially it was to do with video recording. And I thought to myself, I'd love to try this. as like my computer. Because if you really want to have a computer that reminds you of an iPhone, you'd buy an iPad, because the iPad is the closest you're going to get to the iPhone. It's the same structure essentially. It's a bigger screen, so which means you've got a slightly different layout, but ultimately it's the same. And if you can learn to use it with a keyboard, which by the way, there's just not enough resources out there about how to use an iPad with a keyboard.
I do it all the time.
VoiceOver point of view. Yeah, so do I, and I much prefer using a keyboard than
So do I. Yeah.
a touchscreen. Yeah. Although, funnily, we do have an interview coming up on the show soon with someone who I don't know how old you are, Ali, but
36.
Okay, well, he's younger than you, and he's much younger than me. And he came from school, and he said, I came from a touchscreen world. And I thought, what an interesting perspective, because I didn't grow up with touchscreens. I grew up with keyboards. Everything was keyboard first, keyboard, mouse, screen.
Yeah,
There was no
yeah.
touchscreen. And he came from a world of touchscreen. So for him, going to a keyboard felt like a backward step. And I thought that was really interesting. So we chat about it on the show, but it's a very interesting perspective. I guess it all depends where you come from. So, some people might feel more, and look, there's no doubt that an iPad, for example, even the base purpose of using an iPad, simple purposes. Like I remember years ago, I'm talking, God, I want to say 20 years ago, maybe not as long as that, but let's say 15 years ago. I remember going to an event where we had women and men who were in their 80s who were being shown new technology. And we put on the table, we put a MacBook, we put a desktop PC and an iPad. And we said, which do you gravitate towards? Go and test out the equipment. You can do whatever you need to do whatever you want. None of them touched the laptop. None of them touched the desktop PC. They all went straight to the iPad, and they were able to do things on it because it seemed intuitive. It seemed obvious. You pick it up and you press a button, and it was on. In those days, you had a button on it. And, you would tap on the screen and so I want to do this. So it tap on that app. And so it's more logical and simple to use. And once you've kind of got the idea of using it and the layout and the structure of how things are laid out, then you can pretty much apply that to any app. And that's the case with VoiceOver and using it with a keyboard. You can start to very quickly understand, okay, so the menu's over here, it always tends to be there, and there's always a back button there, and there's always, and you get an understanding of where things are. And I think that's pretty cool.
I can't use the iPad without a keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, I could, because I use some of the same learning that I use, like 4-finger tap at the top of the screen, 4-finger tap at the bottom of the screen for top and bottom or first thing in the list, basically the last item on the screen. I use similar tools on the iPad that I would use on the phone. So I can navigate that way. But you're right. If I'm doing anything, if I'm actually navigating around an app, I'd much rather use a keyboard.
Yeah. And you know what?
Like the iPad, but it's more like using the iPhone with a keyboard. And to be honest, then you get
you know what? I do that too.
I use an iPad. Yeah.
No, I do that too.
iPad, just use the phone.
Yeah, I use that with the keyboard too.
Yeah. So do I. I love my iPhone and a keyboard.
Oh, me too.
Although, big issue for me with that is text. I find text really hard. Especially when you're sending an email, typing an email. It just seems to, if it loses focus at all, it is a nightmare to get it back. If you're trying, especially, let's say you're in an email, right, and you're replying to an email that's had like 15 threads in it. Good luck trying to find your way through that email and then get back to the top again without ending up at the top of the screen or ending up in the CC.
Now, what do you use for mail?
I use Outlook at the minute.
On your iPhone?
Yeah.
I actually, you know what I started to do? I don't like them, and this has been a topic of conversation before. I don't know if we've actually brought it on the show here.
Which, the flip between the mail and the Gmail?
Oh!
That's been going on for months and months.
Oh, no,
This sounds very
No.
This sounds like something I've done.
No, McCara, there's a version of this now.
Okay.
There's a version of this here. That there are things I don't like about the mail app. So I just use the Gmail app.
It's perfectly fine. I mean, I actually started using it recently.
I like it.
We switched to Gmail. So our Double Tap account was with Outlook Exchange for a long time, and we moved it over to Google Workspace.
Oh yeah. We like our workspace, don't we, McCara?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't quite explored the world yet, but Gmail's where I've begun, and the Gmail website's actually really nice as well.
I love that. I do that on the Mac too.
Yeah, I mean, there's still nuances. Again, trying to send a message to someone, replying to someone. I think there's a lot of learning needed to kind of fully grasp where I am on that website. Because again, if anything changes, anything moves, anything happens, how you find your way back to where you started is often the challenge, especially on those web interfaces. So don't love them, but
Yeah.
okay. So the Gmail app on the iPhone, is good, is accessible. Again, for quick checks of email, for quick replies, fine. But I generally find when I'm traveling, it's my PC laptop in front of me, and I have a Bluetooth keyboard connected to it, which is also connected to my iPhone. And I kind of go between both. And that's kind of, and it's funny because I have heard this thing about, blind people, they only ever use Windows computers and iPhones. And there's probably some truth to that, and there's a reason for that. Because, it's that getting things done. On the Mac, I always feel like I'm fighting something. I don't know why that is. I think it's possibly because I think
we have
in
a theme
my
today.
case, well, I think in my case, it's because I have always used the Mac visually. So I fight myself to try, even though I can't see the screen, I'm looking at a screen and things are moving around on it, and it's just a big blur, but the stuff going on. And in my head, I'm trying to see through it. Does that make sense? Like trying to see through the blur to see, okay, hang on, that should be happening now. Why is that not happening? And what's actually occurring in that situation is I'm not listening. I'm not listening to what the computer's saying.
Oh, yeah.
And this happened with JAWS.
Yeah,
it happened with JAWS. It happened with NVDA. And the reality was the solution to that was to turn the screen off. Just get rid of it. Turn the screen off and forget about it. And weirdly on the PC, no problem. I don't need a screen. My laptop lid is closed. I don't use it. I don't care about it. And I actually described it to someone the other day as if someone brought the speakers from the computer right up to my ears. It was like they brought the monitor closer to my face.
Yeah.
I can understand it more. And I just, for some reason in the Mac, I just don't have that confidence because I always feel it's when you get the bonk. What am I stuck in now? Where am I now? Because I'm always driven off the road every single time.
Yeah, I will say something like I've found Outlook, like the web version of Outlook, say on the Mac is horrendous.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about jumping around.
Yeah.
Well,
I will say this.
Yeah.
If you check out the Outlook version on Mac, it's probably much better.
I think
That's the weird thing. It's actually better than the Windows one.
But I think those school mails, I think they have to be checked from Outlook Web, though.
I don't know. I think you maybe can do the app. I've just never bothered. You probably could.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see why not. Like, there shouldn't be a reason why they wouldn't work.
No, you're right. Yeah. Well, Makara's that time in the show again.
Ah, is it?
Yes.
Should we go over the schedule?
Yes.
All right. Well, the first thing I'll say, because I keep forgetting to mention it, and I don't want to forget, is we have a Textravaganza workshop on Wednesday afternoon coming up, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. People should definitely tune into that if they want some really great tech tutorials. This week will be Gmail on the web and Windows. And there, I haven't forgotten this time.
No.
Is there anything else coming up on the broadcast map show, or is it next week? I saw the 1 week reminder went out.
Next week it's Jim Towdy coming up. We're going to do a Leafs. We're going to talk Leafs, NHL, and we're going to talk about the Blue Jays run as well.
Exciting. And of course, we've got a books panel this Friday, November 28th, as well at 7:30 p.m. Eastern that the listeners can tune into if they so wish.
Why not? We always have a good time.
We do. It's a fantastic group. It's a great outlet for discussion. And of course, we'll be back here on this show on Sunday, November 30th at 3 I almost said 3 p.m. 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I know it's okay. But we you know what? We had a Monday show for the first time in a while today.
We did. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, if people are waiting for the regular Monday shows again, they'll have to wait until
spring, thereabouts.
Yes. Right? Until spring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Stephen, I really want to take this opportunity here to thank you so much today for taking some time out of your evening on your side of the woods for joining us today here for this show.
Yes,
Hey,
thank
listen.
you so much.
Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure joining you both. I love coming on and just shooting the breeze. And I will say, I can only apologize that I couldn't bring any books to the table.
No, that's okay.
I had nothing to offer you. I've got
No,
nothing.
that's totally
I was
fine.
going to make
No.
something up. I was going to make up a book for you. So I thought, and I was
No.
thinking, did I even buy a book recently? And nothing. I've got nothing for you.
I know,
No,
that's okay.
no apologies necessary at all.
Not at all. No
We
apologies.
appreciate your time and you being here.
Yeah, exactly. And what book is coming up next week, by the way, McCara?
Oh, yes, it's Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan,
And we are part of
the Broadcast Map Network.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching Ali and McCara's books. To learn more about the show, please visit aliandmccarasbooks.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email address and hit subscribe. Ali and McCara's Books is part of the Broadcast Map Network, where good conversations happen.
Okay, just give me 1 sec. I'm just going to stop the audio hard drive recording.
Mhm.